In compliance with Chapter 231 of the Open Public Meeting Act of the State of New Jersey, adequate notice has been given to all members of the governing body, the Observer, and the Westfield Leader, the two newspapers designated to receive such notice. This notice is also posted on the Borough Hall Bulletin Board. We want to stand for an invocation from Council President Turner.
Dear Lord, please keep our emergency services personnel safe, as well as all of our residents, and guide us tonight that our decisions will benefit all Mountainside residents. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Martha, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Andre?
Here.
Councilman Dierkes?
Here.
Councilwoman Fetch-Takamo?
Here.
Councilman Messler?
Here.
Councilman Mortimer?
Here.
Councilman Turner?
Here.
Next, we have the approval of the minutes for the regular and executive session meeting on May 15th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Poll the council, please.
Councilwoman Andre?
Yes.
Councilman Dierkes?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fetch-Takamo?
Yes.
Councilman Messler?
Yes.
Councilman Mortimer?
Yes.
Councilman Turner?
Yes.
Next, we have the minutes of the work session on June the 5th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Motion in 2 seconds. Poll the council, please.
Councilwoman Andre?
Yes.
Councilman Dierkes?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fetch-Takamo?
Yes.
Councilman Messler?
Yes.
Councilman Mortimer?
Yes.
Councilman Turner?
Yes.
Next, we have some resolutions of congratulations. I attended the Deerfield graduation last night. There were 93 eighth graders who graduated. It was a very nice ceremony. I gave out resolutions of congratulations to the co-valedictorians and the salutatorium. So tonight we're just going to reaffirm those resolutions, so I wanted to read them. Whereas the citizens of the Borough of Mountainside are continually striving to provide quality education for all of our children, whereas it is clearly recognized that such education will be a major contribution towards our young people being good citizens and successful in whatever endeavor they undertake in life, whereas it is appropriate for those who excel should be recognized and encouraged to continue the success into further education and participation into their community. I'm going to sort of read them all at the same time. Whereas Emily Raddick, co-valedictorian, Aaron Jang, co-valedictorian, and Ryan Wagarski, salutatory, have truly exemplified the finest in academic achievement at Deerfield School in Mountainside. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Mountainside that we recognize and congratulate Ryan Wagarski, Emily Raddick, and Aaron Jang as, Ryan and Emily as valedictorian, and Aaron as, Emily and Aaron as co-valedictorians, and Ryan as salutatorian for their fine achievement and success, and award them gift checks. The salutatorian got $200 and the valedictorians got $300 each. So we need a motion for this resolution of congratulations.
So moved.
Second.
And we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Okay, so those resolutions have been passed. What do we have these girls here for? They here for something? They got practice or something outside? Or yes, you do? They're gonna make you practice even after you won the championship, huh? Nah, we get to do something tonight that we really enjoy doing, and that's recognizing our young people in town who have accomplished something that certainly is significant to them and makes myself and the rest of council and the whole Mountainside community that you've achieved what you have achieved. So tonight we're going to pass a resolution of commendation on your behalf. And as Mr. Turner will tell us what that means.
I don't know what it means.
Yes, you do.
It means that you're going to become a permanent part of Mountainside's history. So 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 50 years from now, if somebody comes to town and looks up that resolution, it becomes a permanent part of history, and your name's going to be part of that history forever and ever and ever.
So now I'm going to read the resolution. Whereas the Mountainside Softball Association sponsors youth softball program to provide girls with the opportunity to improve their skills and performances in competition with other communities. Whereas the MSA U-Team Travel Team, the Mountainside Rebels, were in the Central Jersey Fast Pitch Softball League Championship game on May 30th during the spring season of 2018, whereas the team defeated the Berkeley Heights Heat with a 9-6 victory in the last round of the Central Jersey Fast Pitch Softball League Championships. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Mountainside that the U-10 softball team and its coaches are hereby commended for their achievements. And I'm going to read everybody's name. We have Bill Dillon, who's the head coach. We have Don Steinmetz as an assistant coach, Chris Pfeiffer as an assistant coach, Christine Pfeiffer. Am I getting those right? One's Piper, I'm sorry. And Christine Pfeiffer as an assistant coach, and then we also have Dennis McCabe as an assistant coach. And now we have the players. Liv Steinmetz, Kate Piper, Ashley Santos, Emma Wargowski, Sierra Isbrian, Addison Miller, Hannah Sandholm, Lily Sandholm, Jonah McElroy, Natalie Dillon, Carly Pfeiffer, and Olivia Paris. I hope I got all your names right. If I butchered them, I apologize. For this resolution, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
So passed. I want to give these out to all the girls now, okay? Yeah, something to take home with you. Coaches, here's first. Go. Okay, maybe I'll try and butcher your names again. Okay, Liv Steinmetz. Okay, you can come up first. Congratulations. You can hold up, that's for you. Okay, let's see if you can keep standing up. We're gonna get a picture and everything. Kate Piper, please. Kate, there you go. It's for you. Oh, I get okay, Ashley Santos.
Not here.
She's not here. We'll give that to the coaches and they'll take care of that. Okay, Emma Wabarski. I met your brother last night a bunch of times. Yeah. Congratulations. Good. Okay. Next we got, I know I butchered this poor girl's name. Sierra Isbrian? Isbrian. Okay, thank you. Congratulations. Okay, Addison Miller. Congratulations. Okay. Next we have Hannah Soldham. That way either? Sandholm, wow.
Mary needs new glasses.
And we also have Bill Sandholm also. I guess you girls are sisters? Twins, really? I would have never guessed. Okay, Jonah McElroy. I wonder why you laughed in the front row. Natalie Dillon. Very good, congratulations. Okay, next we have Carly Pfeiffer. Congratulations, Carly. And last but not least, Olivia Harris.
Yeah.
Look at the camera, she can get on TV now too. Look at the camera. I know you want to be on TV. Come on, wave to the camera now also. Okay, come on. Don't be you girls I know aren't bashful. Please wave. Okay, parents, anybody want pictures? Okay. Come on, smile. Everybody smile. Okay, let's give him another big round of applause. Now, it's a custom after we give these kind of resolutions that the girls have to sit through the whole council meeting. You're certainly welcome to leave. We won't be insulted. Congratulations, though. Next, we have Resolution 74-2018. Renee?
Having already approved the 2018 budget, this resolution will authorize the borough's chief financial officer, Jill Good, to insert the amounts of $1,200 from Union County History Grant and $2,102 from the Watts Foundation Operation Blue Angel Grant and $50,000 as received from the 2018 County of Union Infrastructure and Municipal Aid Grant, and furthermore, that these revenues are hereby excluded from the caps as allowed by law under NJSA 40A:4-87.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Poll the council, please.
Councilwoman Andre?
Yes.
Councilman Dierkes?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fetch Cackamo?
Yes.
Councilman Messler?
Yes.
Councilman Mortimer?
Yes.
Councilman Turner?
Yes.
Next, we have Resolution 75-2018. Bob?
Yes. Having received 6 bids for contract 2018-3 manhole rehabilitation at various locations, Borough Engineer Mike Disco recommends the bid be awarded to the lowest bidder, that being Denbar Construction, Kenilworth, New Jersey, in the amount of $48,012.40. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Poll the council, please.
Councilwoman Andre?
Yes.
Councilman Dierkes?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fetch Cackamo?
Yes.
Councilman Messler?
Yes.
Councilman Mortimer?
Yes.
Councilman Turner?
Yes.
Next, we have Resolution 76-2018. Glenn?
Following the receipt of 4 bids for contract 2018-4 television inspection of various sanitary sewers, Borough Engineer Mike Disco recommends the bids be rejected due to the fact that the lowest bid was substantially higher than the amount appropriated for the project. The project will be redesigned and rebid at a future date.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Poll the council, please.
Councilwoman Andre?
Yes.
Councilman Dierkes?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fetch Cackamo?
Yes.
Councilman Messler?
Yes.
Councilman Mortimer?
Yes.
Councilman Turner?
Yes.
Next, we have Resolution 77-2018. Glenn?
That's me.
Okay.
Oh, it is? Oh, I'm
That's
sorry.
Keith.
Resolution 77-2018 is a resolution that will authorize the borough's chief financial officer, Jill Good, to issue a refund in the amount of $10,544.09 to Atlantic Infrastructure of Wall Township, New Jersey, for police off-duty side jobs held in escrow that are no longer required. So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Poll the council, please.
Councilwoman Andre?
Yes.
Councilman Dierkes?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fetch Cackamo?
Yes.
Councilman Messler?
Yes.
Councilman Mortimer?
Yes.
Councilman Turner?
Yes.
Next, we have Resolution 78-2018. Wendy?
This resolution is requested by the Borough Clerk, Martha Lopez, to increase the amount of petty cash for the clerk's office not to exceed $75 for making change to residents when necessary.
Second.
Poll the council, Martha.
Councilwoman Andre?
Yes.
Councilman Dierkes?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fetch Cackamo?
Yes.
Councilman Messler?
Yes.
Councilman Mortimer?
Yes.
Councilman Turner?
Yes.
Next, we have Resolution 79-2018. Keith?
Resolution 79-2018 is a resolution that will authorize the approval of the annual liquor license renewals throughout the Borough of Mountainside as required under RS Title 33C.1 of the alcoholic beverage laws for the term July 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019 for the following establishments: the Mountainside Elks Lodge, Crone's Tavern, Spanish Tavern, Stagehouse, Ararang Hibachi, Mosaico, Famous Dave's, Public House, Echo Tap and Grill, and Vine Republic. So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Poll the council, please.
Councilwoman Andre?
Yes.
Councilman Dierkes?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fetch Cackamo?
Yes.
Councilman Messler?
Yes.
Councilman Mortimer,
Yes.
Councilman Turner.
Yes.
Next, we have Resolution 80-2018. Deanna?
At the request of the borough's tax collector, this resolution will authorize the preparation of estimated property tax bills for the third quarter should they be needed, in the event a tax rate has not been certified, with the entire estimated tax levy for 2018 placed at $36,010,251.28.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Poll the council, please.
Councilwoman Andre,
Yes.
Councilman Dierkes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fetchkakamo,
Yes.
Councilman Messler,
Yes.
Councilman Mortimer,
Yes.
Councilman Turner.
Yes.
Next, we have Resolution 81-2018. Glenn?
Having applied for and received a grant through the State of New Jersey's Volunteer Fire Assistance Program, this resolution will authorize Fire Chief Anthony Pecorelli to accept said grant in the amount of $3,171.60.
We have a motion, we have a second?
Second.
Second, poll the council.
Councilwoman Andre,
Yes.
Councilman Dierkes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fetchkakamo,
Yes.
Councilman Messler,
Yes.
Councilman Mortimer,
Yes.
Councilman Turner.
Yes.
Next, we have Resolution 82-2018.
At the recommendation of the Community Pool Director Frank Mazzella, this resolution will approve the refund of a pool membership cancellation for Lexi Honahan in Scotch Plains, New Jersey, in the amount of $729. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Poll the council, please.
Councilwoman Andre,
Yes.
Councilman Dierkes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fetchkakamo,
Yes.
Councilman Messler,
Yes.
Councilman Mortimer,
Yes.
Councilman Turner.
Yes.
Next, we have Resolution 83-2018. Glenn?
Having litigation filed against the borough which was not anticipated, this resolution approves an emergency appropriation in the amount of $200,000 as allowed by law under NJSA 40A:4-48, and having the emergency appropriation provided for in full in the 2019 budget.
This resolution is necessary for us to be able to be as fiscally responsible as possible in connection with the costs that we will be incurring in connection with the recent litigation. It will have no effect on the taxes in 2018. We have not yet started to work on the 2019 budget, but by making this emergency appropriation tonight, we can then in next year's budget be able to fully fund whatever litigation costs there are, and also we will work our best to make sure that it does not increase taxes again next year. I emphasize, we'll do our best to make sure it does not. So we need a second for this resolution.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Poll the council.
Councilwoman Andre,
Yes.
Councilman Dierkes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fetchkakamo,
Yes.
Councilman Messler,
Yes.
Councilman Mortimer,
Yes.
Councilman Turner.
Yes.
Next, we have Resolution 84-2018.
This resolution under NJSA 40A:11-2 will authorize the professional services of Christine Amalfi Esquire with the Gibbons Law Firm representing the borough to defend the borough in a lawsuit entitled Stinner versus the Borough of Mountainside, and furthermore is allowed under NJSA 19:44A-20.4 and 20.5. The amount will exceed $17,500, but will not exceed $150,000 over the terms of this contract. So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Poll the council, please.
Councilwoman Andre,
Yes.
Councilman Dierkes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fetchkakamo,
Yes.
Councilman Messler,
Yes.
Councilman Mortimer,
Yes.
Councilman Turner.
Yes.
Next, we have an authorization to appoint Brian Garcia, Michael Parada, Richard Leonardis as volunteer firefighters. Can we get a motion for that?
So
So
moved.
moved.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Glenn, you want to do bills and claims, please?
Certainly.
Be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Mountainside that the following bills of the persons named and for the amounts stated below have been duly audited and found to be correct this 19th day of June, 2018. The same be paid after Council's review if and when funds are available. That the Mayor, Council President, Administrator, and Treasurer are hereby authorized and directed to sign and deliver warrants for same. Total $690,742.55.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Poll the council.
Councilwoman Andre,
Yes.
Councilman Dierkes?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fedchakamo?
Yes.
Councilman Messler?
Yes.
Councilman Mortimer?
Yes.
Councilman Turner?
Yes.
Okay, next, do we have any council comments?
Mayor, I have 3, actually.
Okay?
We held our second seniors senior prom this Saturday night, which was very successful. I want to thank the Board of Ed and the PTO for allowing us this annual event. We look forward to having it again for them next year. The Mountainside Rescue Squad Severio Zeppetto was one of 17 first responders honored by Overlook Medical Center at its 22nd Annual Excellence in EMS Awards. The event celebrates the important roles of EMS personnel in the communities they serve. Congratulations to Severio. And again, I just wanted to thank everybody for our Memorial Day ceremony and event and festivities. Special thanks to our veterans and our VFW for a beautiful Memorial Day ceremony. I also want to thank our community involvement who stood along the parade route and cheered on all of us in the parade. And I'd like to thank our committee, who consists of the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, the Cub Scouts, the VFW, Rotary Club, Police Department, Fire Department, Rescue Squad. And thank again for making this our 7th annual event very successful. And we can't forget our donations, our food donations. That will go out to Mazzella's, Stagehouse, Echo Tap and Grill, Vicky's Diner, and Outback. So thank you, everyone. It was a great event.
Any other council comments?
I just want to add that a couple of meetings ago, we had somebody come up and ask about parking for commuter parking. After that meeting, we went with the borough engineer over to the library and found a spot to add 5 more parking spots for commuters. So there'll be there's 5 more spots. They'll be numbered in the near future, and then the next 5 people on the waiting list for spots will be given the opportunity to have one of those spots for commuters parking.
Okay, thank you. Nobody else has any comments. I'm going to make a couple of comments about the topic of our police force and the recent news accounts. I have several steps that we've taken in response to the allegations of police misconduct, which certainly do not comport with my values, and certainly they do not comport with the values of Mountainside. In keeping with our commitment to ensure that Mountainside has a police force with dedicated professionals and focused on protecting the community, the council has retained the services of Joe Santiago and Associates to do a review of that force. The firm will recommend best practices to ensure transparency of operation, accountability, and professionalism. This firm has assisted in similar matters in other jurisdictions. Mr. Santiago met with our police chief, Joe Giannuzzi, yesterday for about 3 hours to start his assignment. We anticipate that his assignment will last between 3 to 4 months. The personnel review that is being conducted by the former U.S. Attorney William Maderer should wind up sometime around the July 4th holiday. Once he conducts that review, the council will review his findings and will consult with our attorneys as to what options and actions we will take at that time. Lieutenant Joe Giannuzzi continues to serve as officer in charge of the police department. He reports that the department is functioning well and the officers are attending to all matters as required. I was very proud last night of Detective Corporal Sean Bendix. He gave out 2 awards at the Deerfield graduation last night, and the first words that came out of his mouth were that he's proud to be a Mountainside police officer. I commend him for that. At this point, I'm going to open up the floor to questions. I just want to let people know that given the pending lawsuit against Mountainside, I would ask you to understand that there are certain things I cannot comment on while the litigation is pending, and also anything that has to do with specific personnel issues. So if anyone has any comments, you can come forward, give us your name and address.
Mayor, Council. My name is Daniela Fabes. I live at 9 Mountain View Drive. I've been a resident of this town for 22 years. And I have a couple of questions. One regarding the budget. You've addressed the appropriation for 2019, but there are costs that are being incurred currently in 2018, and I was wondering how much was budgeted for the defense, legal fees and defense of this town, and how much insurance pays, what are the implications for 2018. That's one question. And then I have another question. As I looked at the portfolio of this, of the various councilmen, I see that Mr. Turner, you are the commissioner for the police department, and Mr. Messler, you also have police as part of your portfolio. And I'm just kind of wondering what exactly that entails. What does it mean when it appears that this is part of your portfolio? And how is the police accountable to the two of you?
Well, I'm going to address the first question, okay? As far as this year, the budget is already set, so your taxes cannot go up for this year. That's why we passed the emergency appropriation, so we have funds in which to fund the cost of the lawsuit. That emergency appropriation, we will move into the 2019 budget, which we haven't started with yet. I anticipate that it will, we will do our best, because we've always been fiscally responsive, so that your taxes will go up as small as possible in 2019.
I understand that, but there must be a certain amount of money that has been allocated for
there is
legal.
money. Yes, there is. There's
So
money
does that cover all the costs
Well,
of the?
it has to cover, like I said, this budget is already set, okay? So we have a certain amount of money in the legal line. As we get towards the end of the year, we have the ability to transfer funds from other lines if necessary. But this year's budget will not be impacted at all by the costs being incurred in connection with this litigation.
I mean, for the taxes, but my concern is what line items will be used to fund the various legal fees?
Well, we have a line item for legal fees, okay?
And that will cover?
And that, along with the emergency appropriation, which we've done tonight, which will go into next year's budget. That's the best answer I can give you.
Okay. And
John, you're going to talk about the role of the police committee?
Yes, Mayor. The police committee has an oversight function with respect to the police department. They also have specific responsibilities as it relates to the appointment of new officers, the promotion of officers, police discipline ultimately in major disciplinary situations are the kinds of responsibilities that the police committee has. The police chief is responsible for the day-to-day operation of the police department, and for he's the chief executive, so to speak, with respect to the police department, who supervises the operation thereof.
When this entire issue first surfaced in January 2017, is that prior to that, none of the people on the police committee were aware of anything happening, and after January 2017, you were all, I assume, appraised of what was happening, and you decided how to go forward.
I can only tell you this, and we've already put this out in several statements. In January of 2017, when these allegations came forward, we instructed the attorney who was before us at that time to turn those allegations over to the Union County Prosecutor's Office, because they're the appropriate authority to investigate them, and I understand that that's what happened. We don't have investigatory powers. We turned it over to the appropriate authority to investigate.
I understand that.
After that, okay, we became aware of some additional allegations in February of 2018. At that time, and this is all part of the statements we've already sent out, that John's office and our labor attorney did some investigation as to those allegations. And then eventually we turned that duty over to an independent person, and that was William Maderer, who's an assistant U.S. attorney, and he's the one that's now conducting the investigation. Once he conducts his investigation, he will turn those findings over to us, and then we will take appropriate actions. As far as any of the other specific allegations that are in the complaint and some of the things that you're asking, unfortunately, on the advice of our attorneys, we can't comment on them right now because of the ongoing litigation and also the ongoing investigation, and also some of the things that are related to personnel are confidential.
Absolutely, I understand that. What I'm asking is, after January 2017, while there was an investigation, there were recommendations, did the police committee implement whatever recommendations had been?
I'm sorry, the answer I gave you is all I can give you at this time. I know it's frustrating, certainly frustrating.
But just a matter of like responsibility. Who's responsible for implementing? Is that something that...
Like I said, ma'am, I gave you the best answer that I could.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ileana Montes Guaragnino. I reside at 220 Kings Court, and I have been a resident of Mountainside for the last 13 years. Now, in reference to the resolution to indemnify the Borough Council and the Officer Berry, why was that resolution necessary, and how could you explain that that was in the best interest of our community?
At the time that resolution was passed, there was a disciplinary proceeding underway involving a police officer here in Mountainside. And Mr. Berry, retired Chief Berry, was the hearing officer who was acting, I'll use the word judge, in that disciplinary proceeding. And in the course of the disciplinary proceeding, the attorney who was representing the police officer who was the subject matter of the disciplinary proceedings threatened to file a suit against Mr. Berry, the hearing officer. And as a result of the threats that were made by that attorney to sue Mr. Berry came to the borough and said, hey, look, I'm just doing my job as a hearing officer in a police disciplinary proceeding, which you have asked me to do, and now I'm being threatened by the attorney who represents the police officer who is sort of on trial here, I'll use that word, with suing me. And so I would like the borough to provide me with some protection in the event that that attorney does indeed do what he is threatening to do and sues me. And that was the basis for the resolution that resulted in the indemnification to Mr. Berry. As it turned out, there was never any suit, so it wasn't necessary to do anything. But we felt at the time that Mr. Berry made that request that since he was only doing a job that we had hired him to do and were asking him to do, and was being threatened for doing that job, with a lawsuit, that he was entitled to be indemnified.
So if Mr. Berry was the one that was conducting that investigation, why was it necessary to extend that resolution to the Borough Council?
Because the same attorney had made threats regarding the members of the Borough Council.
And how is that in the best interest of our community?
It's going to be very difficult, it would seem to me, as a matter of public policy. If you're going to ask people to get elected, to be your elected representatives and do the things that the people on the Borough Council have to do, and tell them that if you get threatened, even if you're just doing your job, the job that you, the citizens of Mountainside, elected them to do, and they're not getting paid for doing that job, and in the course of doing that job, an attorney appears on the scene and says, hey, look, I'm going to sue you, Mayor, or I'm going to sue you, Mr. Councilman or Ms. Councilman, just for doing your job, then the question becomes, shouldn't they be indemnified for that? Should they have to worry about digging into their own pockets to defend themselves against a lawsuit which was brought about just because they were doing the job that you elected them to do? And so just as the Borough Council concluded that Mr. Very was entitled to be indemnified, when that same attorney threatened the members of the Borough Council to sue them, the council felt that they were entitled to be indemnified also. By the way, Mr. Very was getting paid for what he was doing. The members of the Borough Council don't get paid for what they're doing.
Okay, I have two more questions. In reference to the recommendations that were given by the Union County Prosecutor's Office, what were those recommendations, when they were given, and have they been implemented in full force and effect?
I have to be careful about that because the file that was compiled by the Union County Prosecutor's Office is a confidential file. What we have spoken or what we have said so far with respect to that investigation is, one, that it was conducted after the January 2017 council session that was referred to in an earlier question, number one. Number two, it addressed or it involved the attorney and the officer who the attorney had mentioned in that January of 2017 council meeting. The result of the investigation was eventually made known to this governing body. The result of the investigation, the recommendation, and the actions taken were made known to this governing body in, I would say, probably February of 2018. Up to that point, they had been kept confidential in the police department. And then when they were made known to the governing body, they in part formed the statement that was made by the governing body. And the statement that the governing body made at that time was, one, that there had been an investigation conducted by the prosecutor's office, and two, that based on what the governing body had been told by the police chief at that time, the recommendations made by the prosecutor had been implemented in terms of police discipline.
So can you share with us what those recommendations have been?
No, I don't feel that we can do that.
Okay.
I can tell you that there was police discipline involved.
Okay. Now, in reference to, I understand that there was an emergency application and allocation of $200,000 for this fiscal year. But for the following years, how are we going to address the punitive damages that are not included in the borough's insurance?
Well, we have insurance that covers these types of claims. So at this point, we're going to be relying upon that insurance. It's a little premature since the lawsuit has just been started and we have just started our investigation into the allegations to know exactly what damage there may be. But like I said, we do have an insurance policy that covers that. We also have an excess insurance policy that covers
So
that.
what you're saying is
Could I
that
just
our
address that?
insurance policy does cover punitive damages? Is that the
Ms. Montes
statement that
is
you're saying?
absolutely correct on that. Our insurance policy does
Does
not cover punitive damages. Two comments in that regard. Number one, there is a claim in the complaint for punitive damages.
Correct.
The governing body and the borough does not believe that for one instant there is any factual basis for determining that there would be punitive damages awarded in this case.
That will be a question for the judge to determine. My question to the board, to the council is, how does the council intend?
Please show some respect here tonight.
Could I finish my
Everybody will have the
answer?
opportunity to come and speak.
The fact that this claim is being asserted and it's not insured underscores the importance of making sure that when we engage counsel to defend the case, we get top-notch, first-rate counsel who will ensure that that punitive damage claim does not go anywhere. That's one of the reasons why, if you looked at Resolution 84-2018, we do, by that resolution, engage Christine A. Amalfi of the Gibbons Law Firm, who is eminently qualified.
With all due respect, as an attorney, I do understand what it means to have qualified litigant representation. However, the law is the law, and ultimately the judge is going to be the one who decides whether punitive damages are going to be allocated or the jury. My question to you, in the event that there is an award for punitive damages, how does the council is going to address that without raising the taxes for our community?
As I said before, it's premature for us to even consider that at this point, because we do not believe there is a basis for punitive damages.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening. To Mayor Mirabelli and the Borough Council.
Your name
and address.
My name is Anjali Mehrotra. I live at 215 Queens Lane. As I'm sure you're aware, a lot of the residents here and otherwise are upset about this litigation. My question is, the litigation aside, the allegations in the complaint raise some serious issues of sexism, gender bias, homophobia, and racism. They break a trust cycle in this town. The trust between the police department, between the Mountainside Police Department and the Borough Council, between the council and the residents. What are you going to do to restore that trust? How are we going to restore the reputation of our town?
Well, we've already started to do that. That's one of the reasons that we hired Mr. Santiago to come in and look at the police department, because we also want to make sure that the fine reputation of our police department is upheld. As far as the allegations in the complaint, as I said before, they are not my values that are in that complaint. They're not the Mountainside values that are in that complaint. Okay, it's our job. We will vigorously investigate, and whatever we find out, if there are people that we have to take action against, we will take action against you. And again, as I indicated previously, based upon the fact that there was ongoing litigation, there was ongoing investigations, and many of the issues involve personnel, we are limited as to what we can tell the public at this time.
I understand at this time, but to me, a big part of restoring that trust is to have transparency, to have some assurance that at some point the residents of this town will learn what the results of the investigation were, what were the findings, what were the actions taken. Can you assure us that that will happen?
I just said that, ma'am.
No, you said that you can't speak about it, but we've had...
Wait a minute. I also said that it's our job to investigate it, okay, and that we will take whatever actions are necessary based upon that investigation, and all of that will be reported to the residents at the appropriate time.
Okay. I hope so.
Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Liz Truman, and I live at 355 Cherry Hill Road. I've been a homeowner in Mountainside since 2000. After living here 18 years with a government whose election has until recently been uncontested, I'm extremely encouraged to see that there are so many like-minded citizens here who are questioning the Mountainside establishment and demanding accountability and transparency. We need our voices to be heard, and we need new voices in our government. I have two issues I'd like to raise. The first relates to Mountainside's home values. Consider this scenario. A couple searches for a home to buy in the area and finds their dream home in Mountainside. They fall in love with the neighborhood and its beautiful tree-lined streets. The homes are well maintained, and they've heard the schools are decent and that the taxes are relatively low for Union County. So they do an internet search on Mountainside, New Jersey, to learn more. And boom, they are hit with article after article about the recent lawsuit. They read the allegations, which they believe are too numerous and too extreme to all be false. They're disgusted and in disbelief decide not to take a chance on home ownership here. They don't want to live in a town where this behavior is apparently tolerated and are concerned about the potential increases to property taxes in a town which will undoubtedly incur significant expenses for litigation and settlements. As a homeowner, I'm concerned about the potential drop in my property value that will likely result because of this lawsuit. Mr. Mirabelli, as the mayor of Mountainside, you are the steward of our borough's reputation. How specifically do you plan to counter such negative publicity and restore Mountainside's reputation, not just within our community, but also within New Jersey and anybody who might be looking to move to our borough?
As I've indicated on several occasions already tonight and before, what's in that complaint is not my values, it's not the values of Mountainside. My job, as you say, is to make sure that we fully investigate.
I didn't say that. Please don't put words in my mouth.
I too am worried about all the negative publicity that we've gotten as a result of this lawsuit. I did not bring the lawsuit on. And again, it's not my values and it's not the Mountainside values. I don't know how many times I can say that. We've already taken the first step in trying to restore Mountainside by hiring Joe Santiago to come into the police force to restore that trust. We've also hired an independent United States attorney in order to conduct an investigation so we know what allegations are true and what action we have to take. We've also hired a very experienced litigation attorney to defend the lawsuit. As far as the expenses of defending the lawsuit, I think I've already addressed that. And as far as any costs that may be involved in trying to settle this lawsuit, we have insurance that will cover it.
I heard all that before and I heard it again now, but I don't hear anything about what we're going to do to get our reputation back.
It's the best answer I can give you at this time, ma'am. I'm very frustrated that I can't give you more information at this time. But as I've said before, I have a responsibility, and our attorneys are telling us that this is the information that we can give you at this time.
Okay. Thank you. My second question relates to the collector card program established at the police department in 2015, which encourages our youth to idolize our police force by collecting baseball-type cards for each officer. Mr. Turner, I would like to know if these cards are still being distributed.
I believe the program is over, Joe?
That is correct.
Yeah, the program is over.
Well, that's good, because I find it really offensive and inappropriate to put our officers on a pedestal to be idolized. I mean, I personally saw the public videos of some of the officers' behavior, and these are not people that I would want my child to look up to. So, thank you.
Scott Klein, 242 South Fork. Coming back to the police committee that was discussed earlier, I was looking online, and we mentioned the portfolios. Councilman Messler, Councilman Turner, Councilman Mortimer. I believe all three of you have police on your portfolios. Councilman Turner, if you can discuss, because I couldn't find the job description of a police commissioner, can you discuss your role as Mountainside's police commissioner?
I think Mr. Post already addressed that question. If you'd
I'd like to hear it
get-
from
I think
Councilman Turner.
Mr. Post already addressed that question.
So he's not going to answer?
And for Mr. Turner to address it at this time, it's against the advice of our attorneys that he should not be discussing this at this time.
I'm asking I think a very basic question. I'm only asking about what a police commissioner does.
I'm sorry if you don't like the answer I give, but that's the only answer we can give at this time.
Is there a job description available of the police commissioner of the borough?
John, you want to?
I'm just, as informational, that's really, I'm not looking to.
I will send you, if you'll give me your email address.
Sure, I'll do that after.
I'll send you a copy of an ordinance. I think it was adopted in 2014. That was the most recent in the Borough Code amendment to the code addressing the police commissioner situation. And I think, if my memory serves me correctly, that ordinance eliminated essentially the phrase police commissioner and substituted the words appropriate authority for the police committee, which is the 3 members of the police committee. The police commissioner title before that time had existed because the senior member of the police committee was described as the police commissioner. But if you want to give me your email address, I'll send you a copy of that.
I'll do that afterwards, thank you. Thanks for the information.
You're welcome.
Good evening, Genevieve Cooper, 125 Knightsbridge Road. I have a question. I sort of missed a couple of the timeline dates, but when you were talking about the procedures that were happening with Mr. Barry, and you were given the first insight into potential issues within the police department, my question is, why was the initial response to hire a lawyer instead of trying to resolve the issue internally?
I'm not sure which allegations you're referring to.
The issues with Mr. Barry.
That had to do, echoes back, I believe, to 2017, and that was the investigation that was conducted by the Union County Prosecutor's Office.
I don't think so. Well, I think, were you referring to the comments I made earlier about the indemnification resolution?
Yes.
And Mr. Berry?
Yes, that was in 2017, correct?
That was a police disciplinary hearing.
Correct.
That was going on involving an officer. We're not going to mention names
right.
At this time. But and what was your question about that?
My question is why aren't some of these issues, the current issues as well, why weren't they being headed off or considered internally without immediately hiring counsel? Like when the first allegations came up, why wasn't disciplinary action given to the officers? I mean, in any other environment, if you work in pharmacy, if you work in a grocery store, if you work in a law firm, if somebody is doing some of the things that we've seen in videos and in deposition and so forth, the answer is that they're fired. It's not that we immediately hire a lawyer or a team of lawyers to try to resolve the situation. What happens is the chief administrator, the police committee or the police commission, the 3 people who are part of that commission resolve the issue. So why wasn't this done internally, or why wasn't it addressed internally before having to spend the money, the time, and everything else? If this would have been addressed by this council, by the commission, by the chief of police, well, the new chief of police now, we wouldn't be having these discussions about taxes for this year increasing, for taxes for next year increasing, for who knows how much money is going to be dispersed among the citizens of Mountainside. Why has the immediate response been, let's hire a lawyer, lawyer up? Why was that the answer?
If a police officer or a borough employee, this is not unique to police officers, but if a borough employee is accused of misconduct or wrongdoing, that person is entitled to the operation of law as it exists in the state of New Jersey in terms of protections. Just because somebody points a finger at somebody and says, this person did that, doesn't mean they're guilty. And
what is the point of the commission then?
Let me finish. This is especially the case with police officers. So what happens is that there's a very clearly defined procedure to address accusations or allegations with respect to police officers.
Where is that clearly defined procedure laid out?
I'm sorry?
Where is that clearly defined procedure laid out?
I will be happy to send you, if you want to give me your email address,
Absolutely.
I'll send you guidelines that have been published by the Attorney General of New Jersey that prescribe exactly how towns that are not civil service towns, which Mountainside is not. If it was a civil service town, it'd be a different procedure. But if it's not a civil service town, there are guidelines that have been spelled out by the Attorney General of New Jersey as to how one goes about processing a complaint that's made against a police officer.
And what about processing a termination?
Same
Do you have to
thing.
go through the same procedure?
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. I mean,
So really, the commissioner who has been the police committee has oversight of the police department. So they really truly, and you had said yourself, the police committee has oversight of the police department. They're in charge of hiring new personnel, correct? So, but they're not in charge of firing personnel?
Actually, they make recommendations to the governing body. The governing body makes the
so my
final-
question is, who's the boss? Who's the boss?
At what level?
At this level, if somebody comes in and shoots me in the toe, that is somebody, who's the boss? Who's accountable? Who on this council is accountable for if something happens that's a detriment? Don't even use this lawsuit, please. Use something else. Let me finish my statement. So I'm just saying, who is accountable?
I am the one that's responsible, and I am taking responsibility for it. I have since the day the lawsuit was filed, since the day we knew about these allegations.
So my question...
Just because you may not be happy with the speed at which...
It has nothing to do with speed or happiness.
Genevieve, you want to let me finish? I let you speak.
You actually cut me off, but go ahead.
Our job is to first investigate, so we know what the facts are. We are not just going to go willy-nilly based upon allegations. You asked why we hired a lawyer to investigate it, and so we know what the facts are. That's what we're in the process of doing. Okay, as I've said before, I can't say much more than that because we're waiting for the results of an investigation which we sought to start. So we know exactly what these officers did and did not do.
Okay, but just cycling back, because this isn't something that just started 2 months ago. There were issues that were brought before this council over a year ago. So my question has to do not with this specific case. I know that you can't answer specific questions about this case. I know that you can't answer certain things that we have to ask. My point to the whole, I guess, what I need to be clear on, what I need to understand, is that if we have a committee that is designated by this council, the police committee and our mayor, and certain issues of bias, racism, sexism, homophobia, whatever, have been brought to the council or to your attention beforehand, why does that have to immediately resolve into hire a lawyer? Why can't this council?
That's why we hired the lawyer, to investigate.
Okay, so do you think it's ShopRite if somebody steals that they hire a lawyer to see if the person stole or not?
No, they have someone that will investigate it, though. And that's what we did. We hired someone to investigate it. Once we know what the facts are.
We've hired 3 lawyers, right? So we're not just hiring one. We've hired multiple attorneys. Correct?
We've hired one to defend the lawsuit.
Another one for...
And we've hired one to do an investigation so that we can see if there's a basis for any other action against any other police officers.
Okay.
And we can't just go willy-nilly based upon the allegations and say we want to terminate you, and you, because we think maybe you did something wrong. We need to know what
I think if
they
there's
did wrong.
systematic problems within a department and there are certain flags for people who have done wrongdoing in the past, I think that is certainly within your jurisdiction or within the committee's jurisdiction. It's not a willy-nilly issue, and it's not something that has been happening for 2 months or 4 months. It's been happening for years. They're dating this back 10 years. So okay, so that's the
Let me
other.
just address that.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what the allegations in the complaint say.
Correct, and that's what I said. The allegations.
Okay, so that's our job now to investigate those allegations, which is exactly what we are doing. That's our job, and that's what we're doing.
Okay, so the other item that I had that I wanted to discuss was, I'm sure you'll appreciate actually a change of subject. My favorite subject, of course, the Barnes Tract. So, can you please tell us where we are with the environmental survey over of the site? Rumor is that there has been contamination found, and that things are currently on delay.
To my knowledge, there's been no contamination found on that site over the number of years that we've had it. I think
Wasn't that included in the offering though, or like on the borough site, the Barnes Tract thing? There was a note on that there has been contamination found on the site for just disposition
Mike
of
Disco, our
materials.
borough engineer is here. He can address that.
Okay, I mean it's in the paper that's on the borough's
I
website.
think maybe what you might be referring to is there's some sensitive areas like wetlands on it. That's all.
That's not what I'm referring to. Anyway, I'll send you the snippet or have it ready for next.
Our borough engineer, if anyone would know, he would know.
Okay, so maybe look at that document online. It's on the website, it's the first page. Okay, and then has there been any feedback for traffic survey that you said was that had been awarded and processed?
Traffic counts have been done. We're waiting for the results of the survey.
Okay, has there been a site master plan issued?
A site master plan? There's
Any
no-
plan, any documents, anything from the builder?
There is a site plan that we are considering with the developer.
And will that be made public?
It will be made public when he files his application, which we anticipate will be sometime in September.
Okay, great, thank you.
I actually have one more question, and I already placed my name on the record. I know that the investigation is taking place. I know that the allegations in the complaint are numerous, and they're allegations. However, we all have seen the video of Big Blue, and that's not subject to interpretation. The facts are the facts. Now, my question is, why are those officers on paid leave?
I say, John?
Let me address that. There is an investigation underway that is addressing the situation of those officers in terms of the conduct that has been called into question here. And as soon as the circumstances permit us to change their status, the governing body intends to do so.
I understand that there is an investigation as to the other allegations, but the video speaks for themselves. The video clearly reflects the faces of the officers that were perpetrating this unconscionable behavior. So what else do we need? Why do they have to be on paid leave? We are paying for that in the meantime.
The officers involved and the conduct that appeared in terms of the video was the subject of part of the subject of the investigation that was conducted by the Union County Prosecutor's Office, and there was disciplinary action taken with respect to those officers involving that subject matter. That was already done.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any comments? At this time, we're going to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss contracts. Can I have the, oh, I'll do that in a minute. Whereas the Open Public Meeting Act of the State of New Jersey permits the public to be excluded from certain matters to be discussed by the governing body, and whereas the mayor and council desire to discuss litigation, contracts, personnel, which are matters where the exclusion of the public is permitted, whereas public disclosure of the results of this discussion will be made as soon as the matters discussed have been resolved by the governing body of the Borough of Mountainside. Now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and council of the Borough of Mountainside that the aforesaid matters will be discussed in closed session. That's contract. Before I pass the resolution, I just want to remind everyone that we do have fireworks on July 4th, and the rain date is July 5th. Those fireworks are sponsored by the Mountainside Mayor and Council, the Mountainside PAL, and the Mountainside Fire Department. The Mountainside PAL also will be giving away free ice cream at the 4th of July, which they've done for the past few years, and will be providing a DJ. I hope everyone goes and enjoys the fireworks. They're usually very good. I need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second. A motion, we have a second. We're going to go into executive.